Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today we are going to be doing a spoiler-free review of Iron Lung. So Iron Lung is the directorial debut of the YouTuber Markiplier, and he is also the lead actor in the film. So before the events of the film, they have gone through an event called the Quiet Rapture, and essentially what happened with that was that all of the stars and the planets seemingly vanished out of nowhere, and so most of humanity has been wiped out except for those people that had been on spacecraft at the time. So in the film, we are following our main character Simon, who is a convict that they have piloting this kind of crude submarine when they need to send someone down into a blood ocean that is on a barren moon, where they need to collect some samples from a large skeletal structure that they can find underneath the ocean. And this one is a very interesting movie. I liked it so much more than I thought that I would. I will say I don't have any knowledge of the game. I know I've mentioned in other videos before that I do get very motion sick, so I don't really get the opportunity to play very many games. So I can't really speak to how good of an adaptation this is. However, a friend of mine and I were talking about the game and the movie, and he had just kind of looked up more about the game. And from what he was telling me about it, it definitely sounded like what I had watched. So I would assume that probably it did do a pretty good job of adapting the game, especially with that being Markiplier. And I know that the guy who created the game did have a part in doing the movie as well. So I would think that it would probably be a pretty good adaptation. But if you have seen this and you have played the game, just let me know down in the comments if you do think that it did a good job of adapting that game, because I'm interested in that as well. But I think that the story of this is honestly really good and accessible. I've also mentioned before that I am not a fan of sci-fi overall, not even sci-fi horror, but I think for the most part, I don't like sci-fi very well because sometimes they just get so technical in all of the stuff that they are talking about in the film, and it's really hard for me to put myself into that kind of world. I don't really like period pieces either, and yes, this isn't the past, this is the future, but it's still a period piece, and it's just not that accessible of a period for me personally. But I do think that this one did well as far as that goes. I think that it was very accessible. It made sense to me. It wasn't something that was so out there that it was just hard to follow or anything like that. I think that the story was just very cool, and I liked everything about it. I don't really want to get into it too much since this is going to be a spoiler-free review, of course, but I think that it was creepy, and there was a lot of just mystery to it, kind of just him trying to figure out what he needed to do to accomplish his mission that he was tasked with. And I really thought that he did a fantastic job acting in this film. I don't know if he has done any other acting stuff beyond, everything with his channel. But I was pleased with that because this is a film that hinges on the performance of that lead character, because he's basically the only character that we get. I mean, we do get to see some kind of like flashback stuff and visions, and we do get to see a few other characters pretty early on in the film, but he is the main one in there, and it really did all hinge on his performance, and I think that he did a great job at it. I don't really know anything about directing, so I can't really speak to how well it was directed, but I just really did enjoy the film overall. And I think that there were a couple things that I had a little bit of issue with. One of them would be that there is a speaker that he gets to hear some different voices coming through it, but there are certain points in time in the movie where it's just really hard to understand what they're saying. Not throughout the whole course of the film by any means. Most of it is pretty clear, but especially toward the end, it's getting really hard to understand what they're saying. So I do think that, when this makes it to streaming or physical media, um, that would be nice to have subtitles for that stuff, just so we know what's going on a little bit more. Um, and then the other thing that I wanted to say that I have sort of problems with, but I also sort of like, it's kind of positive and negative at the same time. So that would be kind of the setting of the film. I am someone that is claustrophobic myself, so it does kind of work for me that it is really all on his submarine the entire movie. I do like that aspect of it. However, at the same time, um, the issue that I have with it is just the fact that there aren't any windows on that submarine or anything, and we cannot see anything really of that blood ocean. And that is a little bit of an issue for me. I think the biggest selling point of sci-fi would be the amazing visuals and stuff. And don't get me wrong, we do get some of that. It's just very, very limited. You're not supposed to really be able to see anything on the outside of that. You can't see through the blood, so he has to use this X-ray type of camera to get anything. And so all the pictures that we are getting are just black and white, and they do look like X-rays and stuff, which they are really cool. But just with such an intriguing idea for that world, I would have liked to have seen that a little bit more. And I mean, like I said, I don't really know anything about the game, so we might not get much of that either in the game. So if they're following that and that's the case, then I get that as well. But that is just a big selling point for sci-fi, would be just the awesome visuals. So I would have liked to have seen that just a little bit more. But when we do get it, it is just unbelievable. It's horrific and also just beautiful at the same time in a weird way. There are just some like straight up beautiful visuals that we get at different times. They're more like something right at the beginning of the film, and then there's some almost like visions or scenes from the past kind of thing. But then we also get the more horrific part where we get to see more of, that blood ocean and stuff. And that part specifically was just such a wow factor for me. I just wish I could have seen more of it, that's all. So I do think that this one is one that you should definitely see on the big screen if you have a chance, just for the times that we do actually get to see the stuff in there. I think it does look really, really good. And also just the fact that, this is a smaller release. I think it's always important to go out and support those horror films if you get the chance, so we get more like that in the future. Plus, this one is going up against Send Help, which is obviously a much higher budget and, bigger names and stuff attached to that. So any support that you can show this one would be awesome for sure. But I did really have a good time with this one, like I said, and I would definitely suggest checking it out. If you can get to the cinema to see it, definitely do that. But if not, definitely check it out once it is streaming somewhere or on physical media if you are someone that likes to get that stuff like me as well. But I want to know what your thoughts are on Iron Lung, if you have seen it or if you are anticipating going to see it sometime soon. If you have any knowledge of the game, let me know any of that as well, especially if you have seen the movie and you can compare the two. That would be awesome. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like on it. Consider subscribing if you haven't yet for more horror content. I do post 2 new videos each week. You can follow me on Instagram for updates on my channel as well as additional horror content. You can also follow me on Letterboxd to see what I have been watching lately and my brief thoughts on any of those films. If you want either of those, they are linked in my channel description for easy access for you guys. I also just wanted to say before I completely wrap up this video, some stuff looking ahead into February as well as March. I am definitely going to be doing a lot of Scream content. I have been kind of saving it for now just because of the fact that we did have Scream 7 coming out at the end of February. So it is finally time for me to start talking about a franchise that I love very, very much. So I'm very excited about that. And I've also got some good Valentine content that I have planned for you guys. I think that it will be a lot of fun as well. I know that we do have a Friday the 13th coming up, but we have, I think, maybe 2 other ones this year. So I am not going to be doing any Friday the 13th stuff in February just because there's a lot of other stuff going on. So when we hit that holiday in February, we're not going to be talking about that yet. So just know that I do have plans for that down the line as well, because that's another franchise that I would like to discuss at some point. But you can always let me know about other video ideas that you would like to see from me. If you do follow me on my Instagram, I just recently got all of my horror physical media really nicely organized, and I have it all on my Libib app. Everything is in there. That way I can have a list when I go to buy movies, because I have duplicated some recently. So I have that done, and so you can anticipate at some point in the future, hopefully sometime this year, I will start doing some physical media collection videos. I probably wouldn't want to do it all in one because there are a lot of movies in there, and that I know it would just take a really long time. But that is something that I want to do as well, so let me know your thoughts on that in the comments for this as well. But I just want to say thank you to everyone who has been supporting me so far. It doesn't go unnoticed. My name is Devin. This is Carpenter Hill. Thanks for watching.